Hey, greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Finding Contentment, the official podcast of the American Institute of Stress. I'm your host, Will Heckman. I want to thank you for joining us once again today. I'd also like to ask those of you that are listening to this podcast to go to stress.org. While you're there, subscribe to our stuff. You'll get notices about this podcast, webinars, all the events we have coming up, plus a lot of other information and articles, our two magazines. You get to see those for free. Also, if you're watching us, I'm going to ask, please hit that like button, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe. It helps our channel grow. Now, if you've been watching this podcast in the past, our goal is to explore the best ways to manage stress and to improve well-being. In today's episode, we're going to be talking and diving into the healing power of touch, how massage therapy can really be a game changer for stress relief, relaxation, and overall health. It's good for reducing muscle tension to lowering cortisol levels. Massage isn't just about some luxury event in your life, although it can be. It's a powerful tool for physical and mental wellness. And we will be speaking with April Heath, who's an expert in the field and who will uncover the science behind massage therapy and share some practical tips on how you can incorporate it into your stress management routine. And yes, you should have a stress management routine. Whether you're dealing with, chronic stress or tension headaches, or just need a moment of calm, this episode might be just for you. So let's get started. As I said, we have invited April Heath, who is a licensed massage therapist, and she graduated from Sheraton Technical, and she was only one of two students in her class to pass the state exam and obtain licensure. And beginning in 2009, April built a private practice as kind of a side hustle to working in luxury hotel spas here in Florida. But she's also been published in Florida State Massage Therapy Association's Massage Message Trade magazine. And she also was featured guest on the Chief Jimmy Brown radio show. And she has also been a presenter at the Plant-Based Wellness Experience. Now, there's something called Joyful Rising Massage Therapy, and that is her latest venture to serve her clients. It's her initial step towards opening a full-service spa and wellness center here in the South Florida community. And to find out more, all you have to do is go to joyfulrisingspa.com. I'm going to put it down, the link down below so you can see it. So please join me in welcoming our guest, April Heath. Hi, April. Thanks for joining me.
Hello. What a great introduction. Thank you so much.
You know what? I got to tell you that I've spoken to massage therapists before, and it's always been very enlightening to me how much just touch can be very healing. And and massage therapists, I've spoken to massage therapists who work with animals and work with horses. So it's always been an important subject. And we talk a lot about stress management. And I think it's a great tool.
I couldn't agree more.
I'll bet. I wanted to ask you, though, when you're giving someone a massage, can you tell when you're giving them a massage some signs or some things that shows that stress is affecting their physical health?
Oh, sure. Sometimes it's right as they approach. It could be in their eyes, a little bit of tiredness, fogginess, dark circles, bags, a facial expression that's just like, when you can tell someone is a little stressed to the max. For me, also to see it, it'll show in the shoulders as opposed to having that gentle slope. They're straight across, they're up, hunched towards the ears, they're rolled forward. A stooping posture, I could get into the lower back. And I actually have a blog post about this with lower back pain.
Right.
When that's the complaint, or if lower back pain is part of the complaint that they present with, I always want them to book a little bit more time because I can address more areas because the lower back pain may be coming from the lower back, but or it could be coming from the glutes. It could be coming from the hips. It could be coming from the IT band. There's other areas that I want to address and stretch and check just to make sure.
But when you're conversing with the person, the client, and you're doing the massage, do do many people who you can feel are very tense, because you can feel tension in muscles, um, talk about the stress in their lives and how it's really affecting the way they carry themselves and the way their physical health?
Sometimes, but I think it's important as a massage therapist and not a psychotherapist
Hmm.
to kind of draw a boundary around what I am legally allowed to talk about during the scope of, within the scope of my license. Um, but it's almost impossible not to get into a little bit of, is it anxiety? Is it depression? Is it chronic stress? Um, it happens. So what I might, I'll give you an example, right? I
Please.
had a client at one of the hotel spas, and she was on vacation with her husband. And she spent the first several minutes of the massage just complaining about what was stressing her out. The husband's taxes and the business and the government and the da 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 da. And I was like, I'm like, okay, she obviously needs to let go of some of this, but she's not letting go. So I walked her through a guided meditation, a body scan, very basic kind of breath work and tune into the body. And then during the second half of her massage, I was quiet. At the end of her massage, I stood outside the door waiting with her bottle of water. And when she came out, she opened the door and she was like, "What did you do to me?" She was literally stumbling. She's like, "I've never been this relaxed in my whole life." And I'm like, you know, had to rescue that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Think of one session like that and alleviate all the physical manifestations of her stress that she's feeling.
Right. Because of that mind body connection, she was so mentally still focused on everything that was stressing her out that she was forgetting in that moment she's on vacation.
Yeah,
So I
that's
just had to let her, you know, come into the the peace and the safety of that present moment in her body. It's time to let it go.
that's awesome. And massage therapy has been around a very long time. I'm sure
Thousands of years.
thousands of years. And what does the research say about the benefits of massage therapy? And specifically, since we talk about stress, for stress reduction that you've seen.
Well, so stress and those stress hormones, the cortisol, for a long time, there was very strong evidence, or I should say unquestioned evidence, that massage lowered cortisol significantly. Now they're kind of reviewing that to, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but the research may or may not be a little on the squishy side. The reduction in cortisol specifically may be statistically insignificant or indirect. Um, Tiffany Fields from the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami has done so much to quantify what massage and touch therapy can do for specific conditions, from premature babies, which is obviously stressful for the baby, the staff, everybody, um, to help them grow, uh, to reducing cortisol. So her research showed that the reduction in cortisol was very high, like 31%,
That is high. It's
very
awesome.
high.
Yeah.
So that invited scrutiny. So they're now doing more meta studies to quantify that to see if it really is statistically that high. So the jury's out right now. But in terms of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, the pressure of massage and the kneading get the autonomic nervous system to stimulate production of dopamine and serotonin. That science, I think, is pretty well established.
Yeah.
So when you have dopamine, the pain reduction signal coming, the serotonin, oh, it's time to rest, it's time to digest, it's time to relax, it's time to feel good, then you get that along with the boosted blood circulation, where you get the nutrients and the oxygenation to the body and the actual loosening of the muscle tissue. You have a whole system, like a holistic system going for the body to relax. So yeah, massage definitely has a place in people's stress management tools, their set of tools.
Yeah, and I too have read that there's many. The research says that the benefits of massage therapy, it's not just one thing; it's many things. Like you said, there's a reduction in cortisol and and an increase in dopamine. It just makes you feel better. And one of the things you mentioned, I want to talk a little bit about, because a lot of people who are living with a lot of stress, that stress is due to pain. Um, for instance, athletes or anybody who's pretty active, you always find yourself injured. You always find yourself pushing those muscles past what you should do. And I know massage helps that. But I wanted to ask you, if you could explain, not only to me, but to everybody's listening, how massage therapy itself can take that tension and that pain away, and that we shouldn't just think it's just a luxury thing, that I'm going to put cucumbers on my eyes and I'm going to sit there, because there is a lot of actual benefits to it.
Yes. Sports massage, I'll just say, is different from,
Okay.
say, a Swedish massage or a lomi lomi. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of different kinds of massage, and there are a lot of different price points to massage. So you can run the gamut of the type of therapy you'll get. Um, Sports massage, people, or I should say therapists, really can't specialize just in sports. Um, the same way a medical professional would specialize in sports medicine and sports acupuncture and that kind of thing. It takes a team to understand how the body responds when different things are expected of it. And case in point, I had seen like a baseball pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
You have the typical range of motion of a shoulder. Well, I'm left-handed. But for a pitcher, they might be able to swing much further back. That angle might be wider for them. Well, a massage therapist who is not specifically trained in that sport or what's typical or expected of those athletes might try to bring their range of motion back to common, normal, which ruins their game.
Great.
Um, so sports massage isn't necessarily something that I have focused on, but I know I learned a lot because I had interviewed a few different sports massage therapists. Years ago, that was one of the articles that I wrote for the Massage Message, that trade journal.
Well, what about just regular normal people like me who are experience a lot of stress due to pain? It could be arthritic pain. It could be a muscle. I don't want to
And
say a tear, because a tear is a tear, but when you put too much load on your muscles and you're overdoing it, especially guys my age, um, sometimes massage can really help. A quick story: I was playing in a tournament. I was an athlete, and before the match, two a PT and a massage therapist grabbed me literally and threw me on a table and stretched me out. Granted, I was happy they did that, and
Yeah.
they didn't kidnap me, and stretched me out and massaged. It was a world of difference as far as,
Mm.
like you said, range of motion, but also pain management. How does that work? How does massage therapy work with pain management?
Well, there's the gate control theory of
Okay.
pain, where how do I put this into simple terms? Um, like the pain signal from the nerve, you can block or override that pain signal with certain techniques in massage so that the pain signal doesn't go to the brain. And that way it doesn't get interpreted as pain. And you can go on about your daily business with after a massage because the pain has been the gate has been essentially blocked. Uh, One of the things that I like doing for people if they're tight and it's causing them pain or restricted, limited range of motion is what's called PNF. And that's short for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, which is a really big, fancy scientific word, but it's just a specific type of stretching or assisted stretching. I don't think people can really do it for themselves. But you bring the joint to its end as far as it'll go without pain with a stretch and give the client resistance and then stretch it just a little bit more and you incorporate some intentional breath work at the right timing and then stretch it a little bit more and then stretch it and it really opens up the joint. So for chronic pain, if the chronic pain is reducing range of motion, PNF can be very helpful. Um,
But that's
yeah,
very
and
interesting.
with regular people like you and me,
Yeah.
Swedish massage is such a popular massage because it goes from, it dresses up well, it cleans up well, it just shows up. It's very versatile. It's generally very safe. Um, there's very, very few contraindications with Swedish massage. And it's just such a nice blend of techniques that work well with relaxation, improved blood flow, pain reduction. It just hits a lot of the major points
Mhm.
of the benefits of massage. I think that's why it's just stood the test of time since the 1800s.
And I think a lot of people who have never tried massage, that's a good place to start.
It is.
It's, I mean, you just feel better, especially if you're been experiencing a lot of negative stress in whatever period of time. It could be due to anything. It's different for all of us, but that's a
Right.
great place to start. But there are other types too. I know that and it's funny you mentioned before, hitting um, acupuncture points and doing acutherapy and doing things like that. I know some massage therapists are educated in acupoints
Mhm.
and work with that as well. Um, have you ever done that? How does that work with people?
Acupoints, um, that's Eastern medicine,
Yeah.
but the acupoints, I believe, show up not just in Eastern medicine, but also in Western. Uh, Acupoints and acupuncture and acupressure are very, very, very related. Um, Whereas with acupuncture, whoever has that license to do it can puncture the skin with the needle. Acupressure, it's usually just thumbs pressing into that pressure point until the energy that's blocked is released. And that's what provides the relief, the physical relief.
And you talked about other things too, and I wanted to bring that up because we talk about it at AIS, and that is the mixing of techniques. it was awesome that you brought up that your people are doing meditation and breathing exercises and things like that. Walk me through a typical session when you want to incorporate, all these for me they're stress management techniques. For
Mhm.
everyone else they might be just a massage therapy session, but walk me through that if you could, that those techniques, how you incorporate them and how it helps people.
Okay. So with massage, we do try to incorporate as much of mind, body, spirit as possible. Um, so during consultation, even if it's just a Swedish massage, I will ask my client, do you have any specific goals for this service? If they come up and say it's stress, the next question is, where are you carrying your
Mm.
stress? Because for different people, it could vary. So I have to spend a little bit more time somewhere different. Most people, it's here, the crossroads of mind and body, that neck and shoulders area. Um, if their goal is to relax, I will offer them typically lavender aromatherapy oil, essential oil, because that's what it's known for, is helping the nervous system calm down. I'll let them inhale that at the beginning. I'll let them inhale it at the end. Um, we start with long, slow, deep breaths, 3 of them. And then if I'm starting the service with them face up on the table, I want to start with the neck and shoulders because it's a non-threatening place to start. Um, and it's bilateral. So if I can
Right.
get this area on both sides to relax in the very beginning, it makes them relax throughout the rest of the session. Now, if I do something more tailored, like mind-body integration, I'll take that a step further. I'll ask them for a color that they associate with that stated goal to relax. What color do you associate with that? Maybe it's pink, maybe it's purple. For everybody, it's going to be whatever color it is. So then I'll just ask them, where do you find in nature the most relaxing place to be? If it's by the beach. So for that session, we'll do the inhalations. I will choose the aromatherapy for them. And I'll just let them picture that color as a light that surrounds them spiritually, that protects them. And as they inhale that light, whatever color it is, it infuses head to toe and just relaxes every body region as we go. Um, I might imagine them, I might let them or guide them to imagine that colored blanket show up on the beach if that's for their place of safety and relaxation. And it's there just for them. There's no one to this way, there's no one that way. It's just them. And people get really profound transformation from mind body integration because it's holistic, it's customized, it's personalized, and it's a little interactive,
Yeah.
but they don't have to do anything hard.
And you're addressing, if people are listening to this, I've had problems meditating and colors and aromatherapy, you're wrong if you think it doesn't help. Because if you're thinking about it in different terms, if you think about it as somebody like April who is addressing all your senses, your breathing, your sense of smell, your sense of feel, your imagining, and all of those things have a profound effect on us. I mean, you're visualizing something. So I think that's great. I'm a big believer in breathing techniques and breathing exercises. And believe it or not, I speak to a lot of young people,
Hmm.
in their 20s, and I was surprised that how many of them told me they meditate. I didn't. My 20s, I couldn't spell the word meditation, let alone do it. So, but I was very surprised. So I think it's becoming much more acceptable.
Hmm.
to address all our senses, just like you do in that session. So I think that's awesome, and I think that somebody, when they go to a massage therapist, um, and they're lucky enough to get somebody like you, should be so grateful. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about.
Oh, sure.
Massage therapists are everywhere.
Yeah.
They really are. And they run the gamut from, some guy who's doing Ralphing or shiatsu,
Hmm.
which I come away bruised, to somebody like you who addresses all of the areas. When you're choosing massage therapists, you're looking into, and maybe specifically because you've been feeling overwhelming stress,
Hmm.
what should they be looking for? What kind of questions should they ask?
Yeah. The clearer they can get on what they want out of the therapist, the the better they'll craft their questions for the therapist. Definitely a legally licensed professional in their state. With Florida, it's the State Board of Massage Therapy under the Board of Health. That's just a given. Um, but I think they need to look for experience and credentials. If the stress is more mental than physical, maybe they want a massage therapist who's also a licensed psychotherapist, where they can do a little talk therapy during their session or have a second session or something along those lines. But really, what it comes down to is rapport. You want a therapist who isn't going to push you into a technique or a massage that doesn't meet your needs.
Right.
Case in point, you're a housewife and you just want to relax. You don't want a whole lot of pressure. You don't want to be stretched and you don't want this. Well, you don't want to go to a therapist or find out when you're on the table that you're dealing with Caligula, who's going to, just apply the pain and the pressure
Yeah.
no matter what. Um, some people want that. There's a place for Caligula. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But what you're looking for is just basic stress relief. A few questions on the phone with the therapist to hear their voice and their enthusiasm and what they like doing and what's important to them during the session. Um, I think that matters because then that can trigger your gut feeling. Okay, the therapist answered all of my questions successfully. I feel right about this. The price is right. The location is right. They're available. Boom, I'm going to make that appointment. And then you're closing the gap between being like exceeding your expectations and being disappointed, right? You want to
Mhm.
be happy.
Right.
And it's really important to remember that therapists are human beings. We are not all identical. We don't all have the exact same training. We don't have the same personalities. And that matters because you want a good fit.
Right. You need to have a good rapport with someone who's going to have their hands on you and massage, and for all intents and purposes, treat something that's going on with you, whether it's all the negative stress and how that's showing itself in your body, how it's So yeah, I think that's a good advice is to pick one that you have a good rapport with. And yes, absolutely, a licensed massage therapist, like
Yes.
you know, just for no other reason, they at least know what they're doing. So, what about bad sides of stress of massage? Uh, is there any contraindications for massage therapy? When should someone not go to a massage therapist, even though they might be feeling pain or something like that?
Hmm. Okay. When they're actively getting cancer treatment, I can't think of any massage that is safe during radiation and chemotherapy. Um, after a period, for a while, a long time, any cancer, anything, massage was contraindicated. But there have become a lot of training protocols where it's possible under certain circumstances, um, which is great. Diabetic neuropathy, certain things are off limits, like hot stone massage and deep tissue. If a person cannot, if their nerves can't detect heat or pressure, you don't know if they're getting burnt or not, and they don't know either until it's too late. So that's off limits.
Makes
But
sense.
again, Swedish massage, perfectly okay. Osteoporosis, that's another one that can sneak up on you. You don't want deep tissue if the person has, or I should say, the person who has osteoporosis should not be getting deep tissue. But again, Swedish, certainly a lighter side pressure, perfectly okay.
Huh. It's been my experience, and that's one of the reasons I asked and you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about cancer. I've had the opportunity to, not personally, but experience someone who wanted to go to a local massage therapist and had been going, but they then were going through chemo and radiation, and they told him can't come anymore. We cannot do it anymore. And I thought that was strange. I didn't understand it, but thank you for explaining that. And now it kind of makes sense to me. Um,
You're
and
just moving so much fluid
yeah,
around. Yeah, it's just not safe during those periods. There does come a point when chemo comes to an end and radiation come to an end that resuming massage is safe, but it's not going to be the same.
right.
Massage will be different.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened with this person. The surgery and the chemo and the radiation finally went away, and but I think at that point they were just beyond asking for massage only because they probably just felt better being off the radiation and the chemo, but didn't need it as much. But I didn't understand, and I'm glad. Thank you. I appreciate you explaining. That's in not a good time to go for a massage. So if you're out there and you listen to that, you have to understand there are other things you can do. And after a given amount of time, like April said, you can go back to massage. Um, there's a technique somebody was telling me about, and every once in a while I see a little video about someone telling me how to get rid of a headache.
Mm.
Um, and that is doing a self massage technique. So I wanted to ask you about that. Can people use a self massage technique to relieve something like stress or anxiety or something like that?
They can, but, and I only say but because when I massage myself, I don't get the same surprise,
Right.
like, because I know what's coming and it doesn't have the same effect when I do it on myself per se. But sure, you can rub up under your occipital ridge, which is the base of the skull. There are a number of really strong and responsible muscles that connect from the neck into the shoulders right at that ridge. So if you can loosen those up, you loosen up a lot of tension. Um, Rubbing the temples helps, but the same way that I would approach a massage, particularly a mind-body integration massage with aromatherapy, I would do that with self-massage. Um, Peppermint, surprisingly, is great for headaches.
I've heard
And
that.
in any form, you can suck on a peppermint, you can breathe in the essential oil, you could rub a little of the oil diluted with a carrier oil on your temples, breathe it in, and it'll help. And it'll not only help with the headache, it'll also improve your mental focus and clarity. They've done studies on students when they were testing, and the students did better with the peppermint on the test.
You know, I was an educator for 30 years.
I did not
And
know that.
yes, I was. And I taught high school and I was a test administrator for all the mountain of tests that we give our students these days. And during um, during our tests, when we test whole schools, we would have these giant bags of peppermint candies and give one or two out to every student with the test every time.
Genius.
I don't know if it helped or not. There's no way of doing that research. And like, well, now do other than saying, "Hey, take the test now" without the peppermint, but which they wouldn't have done. They didn't want to take it in the first place.
Right.
So, but you're absolutely right. There is a research that shows that peppermint is really good for cognitive issues and focus. So, good idea. Let me ask you before, because we're running out of a little time and we're running a little short. Give me some takeaways that everyone should be thinking about when they're thinking about massage therapy, when they're considering it.
Absolutely. Um, think of massage as like going out to dinner. You have to eat. It's part of your self-care. You could go for something shishi foo-foo if that's what you want, like a steak and lobster dinner or a really high-end spa experience. Or you could go for your regular self-care, just to reset. And I love to remind people, hey, there are 720 hours in a month. 1 hour a month is like 0.0139% of the month. Just take ownership of that 1 hour and go get your massage. Make it sacred, make it non-negotiable, and make it literally just about resetting because you've had those 719 other hours just building up, building up, building up, building up, building up. So let us undo it a little bit and come back to center.
That's great. That really is. And I love that you said make it non negotiable. Best advice I ever got for working out was take motivation out of it. Do it like you brush your teeth. Just do it. Just don't say I didn't feel like it. Have no feelings. Just do it. 1 hour a month. That's awesome. That's good advice. April, thank you so much for doing this. I have one last question. We ask all our guests the same question, but I love the answers and I can't help myself. So I have to ask lastly, what do you do? What does April do when she's feeling stressed out? What is her go-to stress management tool that you do
Um,
when you're feeling like, God, like this is overwhelming?
oh, well, overwhelmed specifically, I come back to an affirmation that I kind of borrowed from Louise Hay. When I feel like I'm just not up to the moment or I'm not ready to rise to the occasion, it's everything that everything I need to know will be revealed at the right time, in the right place, and in the right sequence. And the breath work has to come in with that. I would typically get a massage because I I've been through some
Right.
massages that I didn't enjoy, and I found therapists who I'm like, yes, you're the one. I like the way you work. I like your technique. I like how you approach me and treat me as a client, as a human being on the table. And I like how I feel afterwards. Um, and then, of course, just reaching out to someone I really trust. Like, hey, I'm feeling vulnerable or stressed out or whatever. This is what's going on. Um, so it is. It's a whole smorgasbord
Yeah, it
uh,
doesn't have to be one thing.
of tools. Yeah.
It's we ask that because there are people listening to this show and our other shows who are out there going through things and think I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It's just insanity in my life. And well, there are things to do. There's only one thing you should never do, And that's nothing.
Right.
Take control, as April said, of your own life. Get a massage, do some breath work, learn to make yourself feel better. And keep the positive stress in your life too. Don't forget that stress isn't all negative.
Right.
Sometimes the eustress is what we need to be productive and to be happy. April, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. I could talk about massage a lot more. There's so many subtopics about massage. Uh, it, it, Things like tension, things like athletes, things like injuries. I mean, I can talk to you about it forever, but it would be forever. We would talk forever. So I want to thank you very much for joining us today. I'm going to put April's website on the bottom. Make sure you check it out. It's a great place, great spa. And I want to thank all of you for being with us today and listening to all our tips and techniques to help you manage your stress. And I want you to remember that stress is different for everyone. And there's no one tool or technique that's right for everyone. So that means you need to join us next time, because we're going to be talking about more stress management tools and techniques. And don't forget to visit stress.org. Good day, everyone.
Thank you so much.